Hello there YouTube, my name is Michael and I'm here to show you the game I've been developing over the past 6 months. One thing to remember that this is still very early access and it is still in beta, so there are still some bugs that I have to work out. But that's not really an issue, because I'm just going to be showing you a little bit of what you can do in the game and how you play. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this screen up for just a little while. So that anyone who is interested can go ahead and read it. But if you don't really care about reading it, here we have essentially 3 player classes. This one sabotages your opponent, this one just re-rolls things, and that one raises their own dice. I'm going to go and be making a game between Fiarca and Drupada. Okay? So, when you are first greeted, you see a board that looks along the lines of this, which is really intimidating. But not to worry, because I have this giant help button over here, and it just explains what each of the phases do, how you play the game, what's useful, but I don't need to go there because I made the game kind of helpful. So I'm just going to explain what each of the zones are. So this area here just shows how much it costs to build the next monument and how much it costs to buy land. This shows how many materials each player has. This is where all of the dice are rolled. Both players have a fully developed skill tree with essentially 2 final powers, and this is the main game board. Player 1 generally has a considerable advantage over player 2, and so player 2 gets to choose where to have their first 2 land before player 1 does, just to try and help balance it. And so, when settling land, you want to make sure that you have all of the resources you need to go all the way down the tree. So you have wood, sheep, clay, stone, ore, and gold really easily accessible. And so, from what I can see, the best position here is to settle here. Because that gives us access to sheep, clay, stone, gold. All we need is ore. So, and we can get ore, yeah. So we can just take this tile here and then get all of the resources we need. So now player 2 is going to be taking a look at the board and deciding where they want to go. So that would be wood, sheep, clay, ore, gold, stone. Okay, so now both players take their first skill, and it's time to begin. So as you can see, the numbers actually have realistic rolling, although I'm running this on a different Windows than I normally do, and it looks to be like different fonts on some of the places. Once again, still very early access. But player 1 got an abysmal roll. They're going to go ahead and try to re-roll theirs using their skill, and it didn't change, which is really unfortunate. However, player 2 didn't really get too much farther. All they can do is buy a wood, so not much really happened this first turn. Now the tables are exactly in reverse, but player 2 is not going to activate their skill because they're about to because if they used it, they couldn't actually buy anything more useful. So player 1 is going to purchase 2 wood, and now that they have 2 wood, they can build a monument, which gives them an additional dice and allows them to go down the skill tree. I'm going to go and get Jack of Clubs, because I personally believe that this path here is one of the most powerful in the entire game, because it allows you to benefit yourself and hurt your opponent. So now player 2 is going to do a very similar thing, buying a wood, and then building it on their trees. However, they're going to go down the path with increased knowledge, which eventually allows them to increase 2 to all of their dice. And so from here, player 2 got really bad rolls, so we're going to try and buff theirs up. And player 1 also got pretty bad rolls, so he's going to try to buff his up. And they both did. As you can see, the gambling path here has a much riskier chance of having things happen, just because of it's still random. You could end up hurting yourself. So player 1 is now going to buy their sheep tile so that they can start getting the next resource that they need. And as you can see there, it may have not shown up, but there was a pop-up saying that you don't have enough resources because you don't have enough points, because I ran out of points, but I was still trying to buy wood. So I already caught that. And so player 2 is going to do same thing. I didn't buy anything. Oh, I'm dumb. Anyways. Oh, that is a font error. That they're supposed to say 10. However, because the font is different than all of the other computers I've tested it on, that's being weird and different. So I apologize for that. Still early beta. So I'm going to go ahead and, for player 1, get the wood and additional sheep they need. However, I'm actually going to go ahead and buy the clay tile because I have enough points at this point, and it's just progresses me a lot further. So I'm going to build the next monument and get chain break, which reduces the skill to cool down by 1. Which is in fact a very, very powerful ability because it allows you to activate your skills more often. Now player 2 is actually going to buy their tile, buy their sheep and their 4 wood. And then they're going to go ahead and get written instructions, which adds 1 to 3 of their dice, which is powerful seeing as how they have 3 dice. So as you can see, both players are very neck and neck here, and player 2 is actually going to pull a little bit ahead, not by much, but really more even up the rolls. Actually, if you take a look at the board, player 1 still has an advantage because they can buy their clay that they need, but player 2 has to buy their land this turn. So at this point, player 1 is slightly in the lead, having 2 clay as it's the more expensive material, but the 2 players are still very close together. And so player 1 is now going to build their next monument and get Queen of Hearts, which allows them to re-roll 3 dice on the board. Now for player 2, they're going to do the same thing, buying 2 clay and 2 sheep. However, they don't have enough to build their next monument, which does put them behind. And so that was just a little quick demo of what I've been developing over the past 6 months. I hope you guys enjoyed, and have a nice day.